Welcome to the news from Quiet Places, where we bring you stories from corners of the world you might not hear about in Europe. I am Mikhailo. Today we've got 5 important updates from Africa and Asia. Let's dive in. Story 1. South Africa's Olympic ambitions. South Africa announced today it intends to bid for the 2036 or 2040 Olympic and Paralympic Games in hopes of becoming the first African country to host the global event. Cape Town is seen as the likely host city. The country has past experience staging large sporting events, like the 2010 Soccer World Cup. The government has already engaged with the International Olympic Committee to explore feasibility. Why it matters? This is a major step in Africa's sporting infrastructure and international visibility. Hosting the Olympic would bring huge investment, global media attention and long-term infrastructure obligations. For European audiences, the implications are global: sport, economy, tourism, prestige. Story 2. COP30 African Voices Loud and Clear. At COP30 in Brazil, activists and indigenous leaders are demanding a clear treaty to phase out fossil fuels. According to today's reporting, many delegates at the conference obscured their affiliations, raising transparency concerns. Why it matters? Climate policy is global, but its consequences are often fiercest in Africa and Asia. The push from African nations for justice, funding, and real change signals that climate is no longer just an environmental issue. It's about equity, development, and survival. Story 3. African Union and United Nations deepen partnership. Today, the African Union and the United Nations reaffirmed their partnership on peace, security, and sustainable development, launching a roadmap for enhanced cooperation. The agreement covers predictable financing for AU-led peace operations, digital transformation, climate action, and engaging youth and women. Why it matters? Africa's path to stability and sustainable development relies on strong institutions and financing. This kind of institutional cooperation often flies under the radar in Europe, but it matters for global stability, migration flows, security, and investment. Story 4. Ethiopia, non-native tree threatens ecosystems and livelihoods. In Ethiopia, a non-native tree species is spreading rapidly and devastating local ecosystems and livelihoods. Though less flashy than politics, the story signals deep environmental and social risk. Why it matters? Environmental issues in Africa are often framed as global problems, climate change, or wilderness issues. But here's a story about how invasive species can undermine human well-being, agricultural and stability. For listeners, these are the kinds of quiet crises that build up and become big. That concludes today's edition of News from Quiet Places. Thanks for listening. If you found value in these stories, subscribe, share, and send suggestions for the regions you'd like us to cover next. Maybe Central Asia, the Pacific, or lesser heard parts of Latin America. I'm Mikhailo, see you next time.